and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're so excited. We're joined by author, doctor, host of Health Uncensored with Dr. Drew, as well as The Dr. Drew Show, and many other things. Of course, I don't even think I need to introduce you, Dr. Drew Pensky. I feel like, Dr. Drew, you're sort of someone who a lot of us grew up with. Is that weird to say to you, that I feel like we've all known you?
Yeah, it's weird when somebody 55 comes up to me, or 60, and says that.
Yeah.
Like, I used to listen to you when I was a teenager. I was like, okay.
You're like, no, don't tell me that. Well, it should come across as a compliment, because I feel like, it's one of those things where, look, we know how crazy life can get and how things change, but I feel like you've kind of been a constant in a lot of people's lives in some way, shape, or form, and so that's kind of a cool thing.
It's not, it was different back then, right? I mean, I was really addressing, really what motivated me to get in was the AIDS crisis. I was deep in that crisis, treating patients. And one Anthony Fauci at the time was saying, get out there and educate everybody. We're going to have millions dead if you don't do something. And I thought, okay. And I had this opportunity to go on radio, and I was shocked, blown away that no one was discussing this with young adults or adolescents. I couldn't believe it. They'd never heard of it. And I thought, oh my God, we've just been through this sexual revolution. The adults don't realize what's happening, what young people are up to. I got to keep coming back. And so I just kept coming back one night a week for 10 years. I thought I was doing community service. It was fun. It was different. And it evolved into this thing that took over my life. Now my favorite thing is, I used to like you until, okay.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm the same guy. I promise.
Yeah, none of us in our family, Dr. Drew, would know anything about that. I'm just kidding. So, I mean, I was going to ask you about, how you ended up here, because look, I don't think that's a typical path, right? A medical student in 1984 ending up with a radio career, but it sounds like that's how you started. And then you say you were doing it like once a week. What happened after that? How did you become sort of a staple for so many of us? Obviously, so many of us know you from MTV, VH1, HLN, all of that. How did that all happen?
So it's a crazy story. No blueprint, no plan. I really want to be left alone to practice medicine, but all of a sudden, this thing I was doing one night a week for 10 years for free, because I thought I was doing community service. They decided to roll out to 5 nights a week, which I was thought, oh my God, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And that same week, my wife got pregnant with triplets. And so she said, sorry, no more community service. If you go out 5 nights a week, that is going to be a job. And so I went in hat in hand, like, okay, can I please make, originally it was $50 a show for 5 nights a week on radio. And it just kept evolving. It kept growing. It kept taking over my life slowly. And then some guys showed up and said, we're going to do a TV show with your radio show. And I was like, how do you do a TV show? And by the way, you got to leave me alone to practice medicine. I've only got, if we can do it on Friday afternoon and evening and Saturday afternoon and evening, we can do this. Otherwise, I don't have time for it. And they did it. We would do 6 shows a day in this little time slot. We didn't know any better. We just change our clothes, do another one, change clothes.
What kind of medicine were you practicing at that time?
My medical career is equally as circuitous and wild. I was practicing medicine at a time, and I taught medicine at a time when general internists could do everything. So I was very good at critical care. I was sort of heading towards cardiology, really. And I would do a lot of critical care medicine and hospital medicine and outpatient medicine. But when I was a resident, I started moonlighting at a psychiatric hospital.
Oh.
And I became very interested in the psychiatric setting, both the medical care of the psychiatric patient and psychiatry generally. I was a neuroscience guy really in college, and I loved that stuff. And so I always had an interest in this. And then I found myself, because I would be on call, I'd spend the night at this hospital, but I would find myself hanging out on the drug and alcohol unit. There was something about it, the culture, the personnel. It was just, I don't know, a happier place than the cute psychiatric unit. And
I could see that.
And I got very good at detoxing patients. And of course, all the medical problems were on the drug unit, so they needed me down there. And all of a sudden, people are asking me to see drug addicts all the time to get them off drugs, because this wasn't even this was not a thing. This is mid 1980s. There was no one trained in how to get the drug addiction at the scale we were seeing. It was kind of a new problem, and I got very good at detoxing, and I would always look through the window in the nursing station at the 12 steps on the wall and go, "What is that nonsense? Come on, I treat the patients, I get them off drugs." And then I saw some people recover. And I saw these young people who were dying of drug addiction become these amazing people. And I was like, what just happened? I want to be a part of this. And so I got in deeper. The director asked me to be the assistant director. And then 6 months later, he quit. And suddenly I'm the director of a large drug and alcohol unit in an inpatient psychiatric hospital, which for an internist, it was 1991, for an internist at that time was unheard of. Only psychiatrists did that. And so I thought, wow, I got to get my expertise up, and I got to hang on to this job, because this is going to be a really unique way, view of the human experience. And it did not disappoint. It was one of the great pleasures of my life. And so I sat, I had this view of the human experience that unfortunately the younger physicians are not getting. You're not allowed to do hospital medicine, critical care medicine, outpatient medicine, and addiction medicine, and medical care of the psychiatric patient. You have to be in your little narrow sort of highly siloed specializations now. And I would not trade that experience for anything. It gave me such a rich understanding of human beings and human experience, and really honed my judgment so I could help people on the radio very quickly and easily, because I've seen these things a billion times. And I also knew that when COVID hit, we were going down a dangerous path, and it was not okay, and it was very confusing to me. But there's my story. That's my story.
Wow.
And I've spent the last 15 years shrinking everything. I don't do addiction medicine regularly anymore, and I don't do inpatient medicine, which you can't do anymore. You're not allowed. You have to choose inpatient or outpatient.
Why is that? Is that a new rule for some reason?
You have to be a hospitalist to work in a hospital, and that's a specialization that requires a board certification and all kinds of stuff. And that's that. And so, I'm telling you, you miss stuff. Not the least of which is interaction with your subspecialty peers. You don't interact in the same way as you do in the halls of the hospital all day long with acute situations. So I don't know. I'm really concerned about this profession. I'm very concerned about public health. The public health sort of administration. I'm concerned that the Constitution has a little loophole there for public health to act out on us in incredibly totalitarian ways. And I'm worried that my profession is not developing practitioners with the kind of judgment that we were all raised with. We might do it. I'm not saying we won't, and it's not any fault of the young doctors. It's just a different thing now.
Yeah, well, there is a lot different now. That's for sure on a whole host of fronts. But you look at a lot of things, especially in medicine, and I mean, look, I know that there are reports out there from certain medical schools where the standards are being changed to some extent. They have certain requirements they have to meet in terms of percentages of people that have to be admitted to their medical schools. Does that cause you any concern or any pause as a physician yourself?
If I like that's a goal, I'm all in on it. But if you're not going to train people the way I think they should be trained, or if the training, for whatever reason, is too rigorous or has people falling by the wayside, it should be looked at whether they're doing the proper medical admissions. And look, to be fair, the medical admissions process for medical school has been a crap show forever. I've been very critical of it all the way along. Like back in the 80s when I was applying to medical school, I was at a school that had dramatic grade deflation at a time when there was dramatic grade inflation out here on the West. And so, and the medical school committees, the admission committees, did not acknowledge this at all. And so this is the kind of they've had trouble for a long time. I worry more about the training. I worry about the breadth of the training. We got to make sure the breadth and the intensity and the rigor, and the people going home at 5 o'clock just because they punch in a clock, that is not the practice of medicine. That really worries me. So
I mean, it's across the board though, right? I mean, it doesn't feel like after COVID anybody even wants to stay in an office anymore, right? People are going in from like 10 to 2 and you're like, can you work?
And by the way, the trust in medicine is off dramatically, and it should be. We failed people, and we have often failed people. We need to really look at ourselves. So I don't know. There's Laura, I have so many things I'm concerned about all the time. I really am this like anxious, depressed person when I think about the world. And the medical profession is one area that I have great concerns. We can come back from it. We can, no problem. It's actually easy, but we have to really do it. It requires hard work rather than sort of letting things roll.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure one of the reasons, you're saying that people have somewhat of a mistrust of the medical field as a whole is probably due to COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And, during COVID, you really had some guts. You said that there was a press-induced panic surrounding the pandemic. And I think if people look back and they're honest about it, that was indeed the case. Did you face any major backlash from that? What was, I imagine. If you suffer from chronic pain, listen up. I think you guys know by now that I am a total fitness fanatic and always looking for ways to improve my health. That's when I discovered a turmeric supplement called Golden Revive Plus. After taking it for just a few weeks, I started to feel relief in places, quite frankly, I didn't even know I had pain. This stuff is incredible for reducing pain in your knees, back, hips, elbows, hands, or feet, and I wanted to share it with as many people as possible. That's why I'm recommending it on my podcast with a special discount just for the Right View listeners until August 31st. You can get 30% off your first order of Golden Revive Plus. Just head over to goldenrevive.com and use promo code Trump at checkout. Over 300,000 Americans just like you are already using Golden Revive Plus to get and stay pain-free. Again, head over to goldenrevive.com and use promo code Trump at checkout for 30% off your first order. You've asked and MyPillow listened. They're finally bringing you the most requested offer ever. Right now, you can get the queen size premium MyPillow for only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill, and it adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get their 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets for only $25, the brand new mattress topper for as low as $69.98, and their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-624-3945 and use promo code Trump to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today, and use promo code Trump.
Completely canceled. And my thing at the time, I did not know that the government was so involved with the what do we call it? The regulation of the free speech of the citizens of the United States. I mean, it was the most uncanny, bizarre when the Twitter files came out. It was mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And so at the time when this thing was evolving, I could see what the press was doing. If I heard the word, what was the word? The grim. If I heard the word grim one more time, I was going to punch somebody in the mouth. Like, oh, a grim milestone, a grim milestone. They didn't know what they were talking about. They flew into a total panic. They were absolutely delusional. And there was no breaking out of it. Anyone who had any attempt to go, hey, maybe we calm down here. Let's just kind of look at this. I kept saying, hey, look, we had a pandemic during the Obama administration. It was called H1N1. It was brutal. It was a terrible illness, and it killed 300,000 people. Do we have to go from 300,000 and COVID's going to be bad? Don't get me wrong. Though, do we have to fly into a bizarre panic? Let's just calm down and look. Panic never makes things better. That's what I kept saying. And having come from CNN and come from the press and worked at all these places, I felt like what they were doing was trying to capture eyes. And I thought, wow, you were gonna send the country into a panic so you can capture eyes. I did not realize how much the government would be involved in this. I never imagined that. And so that's the next sort of, to me, realization. And I'm glad I stood up and said a couple things. What happened to me is I was doing two things. I was doing a nightly show on a local Fox, sort of think Simpsons Fox affiliate here in Los Angeles. And just trying to help people kind of keep up with what with the data, what we know, interviewing interesting people. I was there the night we had somebody from the school board the night that they decided to close the schools in Los Angeles, and I thank God have a tape of me going, why are you doing that?
Wow.
Where did that come from? Who did you consult with that said you should do that? And you know what he said? He goes, it's just the right thing to do. We didn't consult with anyone. And I thought, oh my God, I am in outer space right now. These are major non-pharmacological medical interventions that these guys are making without any consultation with anyone from medicine. This was mind-blowing to me. So anyway, and then during the day, I did a thing out of this studio that I'm in right now, where I was just sort of talking to people about what my thoughts were on as things as they're evolving. And it evolved to the point where I started feeling like I was the French underground. But,
Yeah.
like I was like really doing something, what would you say, indiscreet or something, because it was weird. It was like, it was looked askance at for trying to help people make sense of what was going on. And then I thought, oh, there's all these other doctors that have been canceled. I bet they've got something interesting to say. And so I started interviewing all the canceled guys like Jay Bhattacharya and Paul Alexander. And I'll be damned if I didn't learn a lot from those guys. And now the world is sort of seeing them now that free speech has sort of been restored, at least on some platforms.
Yeah.
And so you can sort of judge for yourself the opinions that these folks had during the early days of this whole thing.
It was really wild. And I think sometimes to myself, had we not been in an election year, had Donald Trump not been the president, would there have been such hysteria around this? Would the mainstream media have kind of blown things out of proportion in the way they did? Look, there's no doubt this was serious. There's no doubt people died. There's no doubt that we needed to obviously do something about, a novel virus that none of us had ever seen, that all of the things, I don't have to tell you, but it actually was a frightening bit of insight, I think, for a lot of people into maybe how naive and gullible a lot of people are. And for those of us like yourself, perhaps, and I know a lot of people, certainly in my family or myself included, who said, well, wait a minute, let's just slow down. Let's take this as we understand the information and let's not panic.
Yeah.
It's kind of frightening to see the disparity between those two things. And I don't know. I just wonder, did anyone learn anything from this? These people who you say were canceled, maybe they're kind of getting their reputation back, but it really damaged a lot of people. Do you feel like for you, it damaged you personally in your profession?
100%. Yeah, it was in many ways. And thankfully that it, again, because I just keep saying the same things over and over again, and I've got really good instincts and judgment that I know, especially medical judgment, I know I'll be sort of restored to wholeness eventually. But yeah, it was scary for a while. It was painful for a while. The cancellation when it came, somebody, we still don't know who, put together a crazy video montage of things that I was saying, which was sort of calm down. But then at the end, they cut off the thing I said at the end of every comment, which was,
isn't that funny?
Yeah, I know. It's in the early days of the pandemic. I kept saying, look, calm down, H1N1, we've been through this. But listen to the CDC and Dr. Fauci. I know these guys will get us through this. And that was the only thing I said that was wrong. And so that was what I really got wrong. And so they cut that part out. But in any event, this whole thing has been a great experience in terms of learning to persevere and sort of trust your instincts and stay whole and focus on your family and, get through adversity. And, now we do a show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 3:00 Pacific time, where we get, we're on Rumble. It's called Ask Dr. Drew. You can get it everywhere there's a platform. And we get sometimes hundreds of thousands of viewers when I'm interviewing all kinds of interesting people. You're welcome on the show. I'd love to see you.
I would love to.
It's been really a great experience. And I don't agree with everything that everybody says on my platform, but I have become a free speech absolutist. I feel like my work is now to defend people's freedom of expression, which I can't believe I live in a country. I know people in the military have been carefully coached that freedom needs to be fought for, but I always thought that was sort of a slogan. I didn't realize I would find the time that I'm going to have to make that a priority in my life, fighting for the ability to say my piece. That's incredible. That's unbelievable to me that we live in that world now, but that is the world we live in, and we all must do it. It's really important. But I want to say something else you said we learned during COVID. the delusional part, the panic, the hysteria. And you're right. It's very courageous. It's a very courageous thing to say. I wonder if it's because Donald Trump was in office. But the weird thing is that the whole world took it on. That was the odd part, the most odd part to me. But one of the people I interview is a guy named Matthias Desmet, who's a psychologist that studies mass formation. And he was studying totalitarianism and Germany and stuff right as this was all happening. So he was tuned to this. And what he taught me was that, when these things break out, and they always break out, these sort of mob actions, mass hysterias, 20% of the people are immediately hypnotized and buy in all the way and can easily be turned into prison guards and, other horrible things, and act out on their neighbors and report their neighbors and all the stuff we know about history. I always wondered how that happened. I couldn't believe it. I stood at the hospital where I'd been a senior official for 40 years while a security guard screamed at me, "Where are your papers?" Young guy recently pressed out, and I thought, oh, this is how it happens.
Unbelievable.
This is it. But 20% get immediately hypnotized. 10% are like, what the hell's going on here? No, you and me, Laura, we're in that 10%. But 70%, and this is the group we must capture, 70% just want to be left alone, just want to deal with their life, just want to love their family, whatever their priorities are personally, they want to just get on with things. But they need to be coached up, even now, that they must all stand up and fight for what they believe in. It's no longer just okay to get along. I would probably be in that 70%. I had to get pushed into the 10%. It took a bit to get me down there, but I'm there now.
I never thought I would end up here, Dr. Drew, believe me. But look, I found myself in a place, where I had a bit of a voice. And I think, I would have been very upset with myself down the line had I not said things that I believed and really wanted to speak up. And I still do it, but I think that kudos to you for doing that and taking that on. And I love what you say about being a free speech absolutist and allowing people to come on your platform, on your show, and say whatever it is they want. Look, I may not agree with anything that a lot of people say out there, but I will fight every single day for their right to say it. That's who we're supposed to be as a country. When
I show on HLN, on CNN, I used to interview wildly problematic people, Nazis and all kinds of things, because I just go, what is going on? I want to understand who you are and how this happened.
You're in the psych ward. Of course you want to interview these people.
But that's what we used to do on news. Now you're platforming somebody evil. Yeah, that's they go underground if you don't put them out into the light. The light is essential. And by the way, as you said, kudos to you too. Brilliant move on your father-in-law's part to put you at the RNC because
thank you.
Well, I've heard many people say, and I would not have been aware of it had I not sort of heard it from others, frankly, that your impact is palpable. And so,
that's so nice. Yeah. Thank you. And another spot I never anticipated ending up, but you know what? I've walked through many doors that God, I feel like, has opened for me, and I've said even though I'm terrified in some of those moments, I'm going to take it on and see what's on the other side. And I never do anything halfway, and I think my father-in-law knew that. So here I am. But thank
I do
you.
The same thing. I got to tell you, everything for me has been like a improvisation, just an exploration. How can I, whatever opportunities come my way, how can I use them to do good, have a positive impact?
Right.
I'm pretty grateful for that.
No, I'm so grateful. So I have to ask you, you've obviously given a lot of advice in your career. We know that. What is some advice that you think you end up giving the most that maybe could be the most helpful for people tuning in?
Oh, goodness.
On the spot.
I would say, gosh, there's so much these days. Obviously, priorities, family, focus on what's meaningful. We have a spiritual vacuum in this country we've had for a long time, and we need to do something about that, whatever that is for you. And what most people want to ask me about is addiction treatments. And these days, addiction treatment goes across a lot of different areas: sex and love addiction, food addiction, gambling, spending. There's a lot of compulsive behaviors going on. And there is evidence basis that this thing we call mutual aid or 12-step, evidence-based in science that it is effective and maybe more effective than any professionally managed service. And it's free. And now one thing COVID gave us was Zoom meetings and things, and you can do it anytime. There's Zoom. You can go attend a meeting right now. And same with the loved ones of the individual with these things. The codependent meetings are available all the time. These things are free. They're evidence-based healthcare that's free and available 24/7. The fact that people wouldn't take advantage of that is, or would take issue with it, is bizarre to me. It may not be the right thing for you. It may not be the only thing for you, but please access it. It has helped millions and millions and millions of people.
Well, that is certainly good advice, definitely for a lot of people. I do want to say before we go, I do have a question. What was more rewarding for you, appearing on Wheel of Fortune in 1984 or participating in The Masked Singer in 2019? Because those are both pretty big, and I would like to do both of those at some point.
So I was on Ellen one time, and that producer, damn her, she pulled out the footage of that Wheel of Fortune.
Oh my gosh!
I always lived in fear that would show up somewhere. And Ellen drove in the knife real hard with me, and she goes, "All right, how does it feel?" And I said, "You know what? Not as bad as I thought. I learned from this experience, Ellen, that you should face your fears. You should go ahead and, if the thing you dread most, go ahead and face it." But The Masked Singer was really a delightful experience. That was really fun. Much more fun than Wheel of Fortune.
Okay. Well, and you had a little time under your belt, maybe in front of the camera, so you were probably a little more comfortable with things
You know what else is that The Masked Singer is one of the best produced shows on television. They are handling a massive setup there. I mean, think about it. You have to select songs, clear songs, train the singers. Sometimes vocally, I had to get some vocal rehab, and then the choreography and the lighting and I just was so much going on, and they just handled it beautifully. It was amazing. So.
Did you choose the song?
Not really. I actually learned 20 songs before they came, because at the very end they go, the costumes really should drive the song, and you're a rock eagle. And I thought, oh no, I cannot sing rock songs. Oh my God. But okay, here we go. And so that was that. It was a Meatloaf song.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. All right. Well, I know you have so much going on. We appreciate you spending a little time with us. I want people to know how they can keep up with you, again, the show and everything you have going on.
Yeah, really where I want you to go is either follow me on Twitter at Dr. Drew, or come subscribe at our Rumble channel, Ask Dr. Drew, which is really been a joy to cultivate an audience. My wife produces it, and it's just been really fun to do. And the people I've been interviewing, and again, I'm hoping you'll be one of them.
I would love it.
Have just enlightened me. They've expanded my knowledge base and my consciousness, and I've enjoyed talking to every one of them, even when I really disagreed with them. It's just been I have something in there, some pearl has emerged, and I'm grateful for it.
Well, it's a lesson for everyone. Sometimes you learn the most from people with whom you might disagree. Yes. And I think we should all keep an open mind. And isn't that how this country was founded?
I thought I mean, but lo and behold, we got to fight. So here we are.
We do have to fight for it. Well, thank you for everything you do. You really are such a breath of fresh air, I think, Dr. Drew, to so many people. And again, a staple and a constant, I feel like, in so many of our lives. You're just very comfortable for a lot of people. So thank you for spending a little time with me and with all of us, all the audience here at The Right View. And I will be on your show anytime. I would be totally honored to do that. So I'll see you there. So Dr. Drew Pensky, thank you very, very much for joining us today. And to everybody at home, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. We'll see you back here for more of The Right View.
Thank you. My privilege.
And I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it.